Okay, good day, everybody. Are you hearing me? Right. So today we would be looking at the write-up of a lab format or lab report. It's a simple process which we would use for all of the lab reports which we may conduct. We would typically start off with the title. In some lab books, if you're using a lab book, you would have page number, lab number already headed in. If not, you could just write it in. But typically, you would start up with the lab number, date, you would have space for page number, and then actual format begins with title. So your title would be the topic to which you are investigating. Under your title would be the actual thing you are setting out to find out in the experiment. After your aim, you would have your apparatus and materials. So this would be a list of all the equipment, specimens, everything that you use during your lab practical. So this is going to be done in a list form. The next section would be the method or procedure. The method or procedure is a list of all the steps you used in conducting the lab. And because it is a record of what you did in the lab, it would be in past tense. When you are doing a method and procedure, you must always remember certain key points like including SI units, specific quantities, measurements, volumes, labelings, and all details. The method must be detailed in such a format where someone can pick up your lab book and follow these steps and get a similar result to what you did. After your method and procedure, you would have your results and observations. So this would be what transpired. This is your record of what happened in the lab. If it's a physical observations, you could use things like drawing, using your senses, noting color, texture, sound, all these things. For the numerical applications, if you are using measurements, you would tabulate your results, which means making a table of your results using your SI units. You may include drawing of apparatus and materials or drawing. So in the case of the flower that you all did for the topic of sexual reproduction, your results would have been a labeled drawing of the sectional view of the flower. After your observations, you would have a discussion. And this is where your theory comes in, your theory of the topic. So you are discussing the theory, which is the topic, or given a background information, and then you are relating it to the lab that you did. So what you are going to do now, you are going to tie in what you observed in your results and discussion to the theory. So it's either two things that may happen. It may follow together with the theory or it may not. If it goes differently from the theory, you would explain, account for them. In a typical lab, you would have your variables. You would typically have a manipulated variable, responded and control. The manipulated variable is the one thing or one condition in that lab you are changing or testing. You only have one because it would be easy for you to decide if this is what you are getting the results from, right? So you would have one manipulated. The responding variable would be the variable which is in response to the manipulated variable. So basically, what happens when you introduce the manipulated variable to your experiment? So we have the control variables, though everything else must be constant, which means must be the same. Typically, when we are setting up an experiment, we set up a control setup, which basically is having a set of specimens or conditions or apparatus without the manipulated variable being involved in that setup. In your discussion, you would move on to sources of errors. These would include things that would cause you to, or may cause you to get improper readings or results, limitations, things which may prevent you from getting the lab done to the fullest potential or completion. And then you would have precautions. Precautions would be things which you must look out in further events in order to prevent errors from happening. So probably the next time, if you look out to do this, you will not have it done. After your discussion is your conclusion. Your conclusion is a response to the aim. Your response to the aim. So this has to tie in directly to the aim. So if it was to observe and draw, you must state that the specimen was drawn or observed. If it was to calculate something, you must have a statement, and in that statement, including the figure that you calculated. So typically, after your conclusion, you would have a reflection, and your reflection is basically your scientific opinion on how the theory and how this practical made an impact in your life. It could be something as simple of like, hey, from this, I got to realize when they're doing something in an operation or on a plant, how it is. I have this document prepared in a Word document, so this evening I would post it in the Google Classroom. So as you all are writing up the labs right now, those of you still finishing up, you would go through the Google Classroom, and I put all this information in a Word document, right? So you all would go through that. Right, thank